What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin Cash today. Shout out to the Dragon Riders in the House of the Dragon. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. It is the second day of September, and here we are at $579. Beautiful move, up 6.5% this week already. I have the Bitcoin chart put on here, and I have it in candles, different colored candles, so it's obvious as to which one's which, right? Bitcoin Cash will be the green and red. BTC will be the purple and orange color here, right? If we're looking at it, we can see that last cycle, Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin bottomed at the same price, right? But then here, whenever Bitcoin Cash really started to move up after it was done being boring for a little while, we saw this week happen, this kind of breakaway week. Bitcoin was still moving up, but it didn't really break out until April 1st, whereas Bitcoin Cash here really started to move up on March 11th. So almost, like 3 weeks ahead of Bitcoin's schedule right there on that pump. We go to the next kind of pump in this same cycle here. Bitcoin's being boring. Bitcoin Cash here is starting to move up 1, 2, 3 weeks. By that third week, that's when Bitcoin finally starts to act. They bottom at the same areas, but Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin were kind of more or less moving at the same time, but Bitcoin Cash moved a little bit ahead of time. We look here, and on this example, Bitcoin Cash and BTC moved together, right? But typically, or at least last cycle, what we saw was that Bitcoin Cash would kind of front run BTC. Not every time, but it happens sometimes. And what I'm trying to get at here is, what if that's happening now? What if we're doing that now? What if, because I am expecting that Bitcoin itself kind of meanders. It's going to go a little bit lower, but the amount lower that it's going to go is insignificant on this chart. It's not going to look too dramatic, and it might even just be in the form of a wick. We might find our low at $104,000 to $102,000 and then close that week at prices that are higher than we are now at 110K. It might be a wick and very insignificant kind of price action as far as the charts are concerned. What if Bitcoin Cash is starting its move up now, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 weeks ahead of time than Bitcoin compared to like what we saw last cycle? I think it's very possible. I do want to remain open-minded to the downside. I think that we could see some price action to the negative effect between now and the 16th and 17th of September. It doesn't mean that we will, but it could happen, right? And actually, throwing this chart back on here. Let's get it. Hold on. Do we have it? Is it loading? Must be loading. Come on now. Well, I was going to show that we've seen Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin move at different kind of paces this cycle. So Bitcoin Cash moving ahead of schedule from Bitcoin, even this cycle, is also not too unheard of. Come on, man. Why is it? Can we get something on here? No? Is it just invisible? What if we do it like that? Nope. All right, whatever. It's glitching out. What I have noticed with Bitcoin Cash is that we kind of have a fractal here. I don't know if you guys see the same thing that I'm seeing, but this pattern right here reminds me a lot of this overall pattern right here. They look identical, right? It's just smaller time frame, much larger all-time historical time frame right here. Rejection down, harsh rejection, rejection down, harsh rejection, consolidating here, doing a little dance, makes you think that you want to break out and see a different result. Different behavior begets different results. If we're looking at this on the weekly time frame, harsh rejection, consolidation, harsh rejection here, consolidation. It's like the same exact pattern, just on a significantly smaller scale. And I think we're going to get the same results. I mean, obviously you break out here, you're breaking out, you're continuing to break out with your monthly time frame. We don't have to start this week. It doesn't have to be today. The sooner the better, of course. I think everybody's excited for it to happen. I certainly am. But if we do happen to continue to go lower, let's talk about that. Where might we go? We could see prices as low as like $500, maybe $520. The low that we have so far since our relative high back here on August 11th, the low that we have is $524. I mean, we could see prices just barely below that low. Let's look at the short-term stuff and see what we can derive as far as potential expectations would be. All right, looking at the 1 hour time frame, and again, I think if we move down immediately right now, this move is not going to persist for long. I think within the next 2 weeks we'll have resolution, and then by the end of this month we should be rallying. There was something I saw on X.com where Jim Cramer was saying September is notorious for being boring, or a no action month or something like that. So that means we're going to get some action in September, you guys, probably, right? Poor performance, I think, is what it's known for. So it's gonna be a good month probably, at least for Bitcoin Cash it is. But I would expect that, looking at the 1 hour time frame here, we do have bearish divergence. I wouldn't be surprised if we did come lower. 2 minutes left in this 1 hour time frame. Maybe we go a little bit higher first and then we drop down lower. That's a nice look on the 1 hour RSI. I want to look at this with some other indicators on there. Stochastics have a little bit of bearish momentum building. Overall bullish, sure. Same thing with the MACD. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a little bit of volatility here and came back down, but nothing too dramatic, at least not from the 1 hour's perspective. Looking at the 4 hour time frame here, if we take a high to a low, let's take this high all the way up at the 13th of August to the low down here on the 30th of August. Golden ratio hit. Maybe we go a little bit higher than that, but I don't think we get above $600 from here. We probably do come back down, and the best case scenario would be that we hit this area, we come back down to the 0.5382 area, 575, 563, somewhere in this zone, find support, and then continue to rally. Okay, that's the best case scenario. Worst case scenario, we come down a little bit. Maybe we even see a lower low. If we were to see a lower low, how low could we go? Perhaps down to $507. That'd be the lowest expectation that I would have. Does this line up with any fibs from this, if this is the high here? Right there, that 1272 lines up pretty damn perfect with that. So again, if we are to see higher prices from here at this point in time, I would think it's not going to be significant. I do think that we have an impending drop coming. Just a little drop though, nothing too crazy. Like probably more than 10%, but not more than 20%. At the very least, we would drop to 575 to 563, and that would be a very modest drop. We're basically there now. Or maybe 550 could hold, but I am kind of expecting that we see lower prices. It's very possible. 4 hour time frame looks bullish. Stochastics look bullish. MACD looks bullish. I don't know. Maybe not, guys. Maybe we do. Maybe we have found the low and we start moving up. Again, going back to what I was saying in the beginning of the video, where we've seen Bitcoin Cash kind of take off before Bitcoin. Might it be doing that now? We'll see. If we can hold 560, I have a lot of hope that we are moving up higher. Even if we hold 550, that hope is still intact. But if we get below 530, there's very little stopping us from going down to that sub 520 area, 500 to 520, okay? Which at that point, from 530 and down, that's really not that big of a deal. But the 4 hour indicators are actually looking pretty damn good, I'm not going to lie. These 4 hour indicators disagree with what I was just saying. They actually say that we're going to continue higher rather immediately. But how much higher is the question, right? If you want to validate this as a low, I think we need to get above $620. Until then, I remain skeptical. Daily time frame here. The RSI is so bullish, you guys, on the daily time. It's ridiculous. This is one of the most bullish RSIs in crypto right now. Absolutely fantastic. Lower lows throughout the whole RSI, higher lows throughout the price. Lower lows, relatively speaking, here, and that's fine. Stochastics, momentarily bearish, but you're in a bullish posturing. The fact that your blue line is so separated from your orange line makes me think we could see a little volatility here. Come back down. The MACD is starting to cross below the zero. We can find support a little bit below the zero, but if this persists, that would agree with what I was saying in that we have probably another week or two of slow decay to come. We could see prices below $500. I would be surprised if we got below $500, but at the same time, if that happens, that's a golden opportunity to buy. I certainly would be hitting that buy button below $500 for Bitcoin Cash. I would probably add to my stack for the first time in, at this point, I think it'd be over a year that I've added to my Bitcoin Cash stack. I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember. I'd have to check. All in all, I think that we are right on the precipice coming back out to the weekly. Anything's possible, and we've seen it happen a couple times this cycle. We've seen it happen a couple times last cycle where Bitcoin Cash does break out before BTC. They find their lows together. So if Bitcoin's going lower, that does make me think that Bitcoin Cash might go lower. But I wouldn't be surprised, if we're expecting Bitcoin to really break out in October, Bitcoin Cash might start to break out well ahead of time. Or maybe they break out at the same time, and that's fine. But we're definitely on the precipice of moving up. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. My expectations are that Bitcoin Cash sees prices somewhere around anything from $1,600 to $4,300 between now and the end of October. If we're not there, if we're not in that range, it's only because we're higher. But I think 1,600 to 43 is a fair enough range. My personal expectation would be that we're somewhere around $2,200 to $1,800, right there in that range, maybe even a little bit higher. The reality is we don't know what we're dealing with here. Bitcoin Cash has been range bound and consolidating for its whole life. We've finally broken free. We're finally let loose. What are we going to do with this fantastic opportunity? It remains to be seen, but I can't imagine it's going to be a bad thing. We're loading up the truck right now, loading up all the Bitcoin Cash bags, and whenever we see this price take off, I have a feeling we're all going to wish that we had more time to accumulate. As boring as it's been over the past couple months now, just chilling at this area, I really do imagine there's going to be a lot of people who are complaining about the fact that they didn't have more time to accumulate more. It really is a blessing to buy Bitcoin Cash below $1,000. Anybody and everybody watching this video, you are of the chosen few when it comes to the grand population of this planet who took the chance, the opportunity to buy Bitcoin Cash below $1,000. And that opportunity is not going to live for long. So get it while it's cold. Because when it's hot, it's going to be too hot to touch for a lot of people. But man, this thing it's going to erupt. It's going to put itself on the map. We're going to have higher highs. It's going to make everybody rethink things. Right now, we all know we're going to see new all-time highs by the end of this cycle. maybe not all of us. Some people in the BCH community don't think that we're going to go to new all-time highs this cycle, and that's fine, right? You know we will over time. But whenever we break out of this range, whenever we start to get above this high, it won't just be Bitcoin cashers who are saying that we're going to see new all-time highs. It won't just be me who's saying we're going to $10,000. You're going to get people who have never talked about this thing, people who are speculating on it, people who are taking a shot in the dark or maybe coming to the light, as it were, because they're seeing this thing perform well. And whenever you have a chart that breaks out of a multi-cycle consolidation phase like this, it certainly makes you rethink the structuring of or the dynamics that are at play here. And I would think that everybody would start to see that we're going to see new all-time highs. And I don't really have anything else that I want to say. I'm just repeating myself right now. So hit the like button, subscribe. Here we are at 584, man. Moving up. Moving on up. Yeah, but not a lot of volume. We'll probably come back down. I wouldn't get too bullish on this. I really wouldn't be surprised if we came down a little bit. But take care. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.